Okay, so we are right back into another Dragon Ball Super card game video, and this one is going to be a deck profile among other things. I just had the release tournament yet again for set 5, and just like the last video, I'm going to go ahead and deck profile or profile my deck and go over it. This one is the Shenron BUU. So yes, I played the Dragon Ball, which actually does look pretty good in a sort of a mini snap case type thing. And it was actually, it did better than I thought it would. All right, that's always fun. My camera didn't record what I just did for the last 5 minutes, so that's good. If it looks different as far as the setup, that's why I just had to refilm it. But I really wanted to go ahead and show off a couple different things. But I ended up going for 1 overall. I kind of went for fun. I took the deck and I built it and played it for a couple weeks, or about a week or so, on untap here and there, and then I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go because I really like the finisher. I really like how the deck is, so, and I wanted to experiment with the Shenron leader, so I did that, and ended up like I said, 4-1. We had like almost 20 people. It was around that. I don't remember. We had 5 rounds obviously, and then I placed 2nd overall in Swiss. We didn't do any top cut like I was saying before, and yeah, I think it did better than I thought it was gonna have or gonna do, and I'm happy about that. What I'm actually gonna do is go through all of the tournament pack winnings, and I already got one of these. As you can see, a Foyo Yamcha and a busted ass card in Pan, which I'm very happy that I got as a first tournament pack pull. Hopefully I can get a play set of that pretty soon. And then all of these cards, which is or are the Miraculous Revival stamp cards, which probably are the best looking stamp cards I've actually seen. Like the previous few that we had, like the Winter Stamp and the set 3 or whatever, actually weren't that great, and I've seen some custom ones that weren't that great, but these ones are actually pretty good quality, and I really like the look of it. Of course, these are all very playable cards. Like this is being the Flying Nimbus, the Bodyguard Legic, the Android 16, which looks awesome with the gold. I mean, they all look kind of awesome with the gold anyway. The Raging Spirit Son Gohan, still a playable card. I don't see why not, other than Dark Power and the new Kai. And then the Toa, which takes a 3-drop with Dark Overwhelm 4, and then a 1 energy. I think this is actually a pretty cool card. It just doesn't see enough play. You just take control over a 3 or less. That's busted in itself. So I like that very much. Overall, very cool. I'm gonna go ahead and cut to opening the tournament pack ones. I already opened 1. I'm gonna show that right now, but before then, I'm definitely gonna go over the matchups, kind of a detailed process of a thought process of of that, and as well as the deck profile. And if I wasn't going to play this, the Shenron BUU, I was going to play either Androids, which I just didn't have the Super 17s at the time, Shenron Gogeta, which I did have the Gogetas, but I just didn't feel comfortable with it, Soul Striker, which was fun, but I didn't really want to do that, and then Pan, which I didn't have the Yamchas. So hopefully I can get a place of the Yamchas. I can still start playing Pan again. I mean, I can play her. She's still gonna be good, but still, I'm just saying. So let's get to the tournament packs. So I already opened one of these, and this one's the Frieza Striking Back card. If you didn't know what this one is, well, 1, it's a revival target, so the 2-drop Desire for Frieza Sorbet can get this guy out for free, or for Desire basically, or for 2 energy. And it says when you pick this card, choose up to 1 on your opponent's battle card and switch to rest mode. And then when it KOs an opponent's battle card, choose up to 1 skillless yellow Frieza Army's battle card with 3 or less from your deck and drop area and play it. And shuffle your deck if you look through it. Don't shuffle your drop area. It's not really a point to do that, but interesting card. So if you play it for free or Desire, you can rest a 1-drop of some sort, or like a free blocker or something, and then attack it if it's like 5k or more, especially against announcer decks. Would be pretty interesting to see. And then they don't counter, and they don't combo out of it. You can get a free 3-drop out of it. With the 30k Ginyu will probably be the best target for it. And of course, Frieza Army has a lot of different targets when it comes to the like the Vanilla Apple and all these other ones. And I think we're gonna get more of those coming in the next set. And oh look, a non-foil Bulma. She's actually an interesting card. This one's the when you play this card, if you lead a card as a Shenron card, choose up to 3 of your battle cards with three or more in your drop area and shuffle into your deck and draw 1 card. So this one's actually pretty cool if you have like, I don't know, like a BUU or something, Shenron, where it died, and then you can play this, draw a card, and as well as just keep that man into your deck, so that way you can keep Union absorbing. She might be actually pretty good against Janemba too. I'm working on a video as far as the countering Janemba, or what you need to do against Janemba. I already know this one. What this one is, that's for sure. Is the Vegeta that a lot of people are saying is a little underwhelming. This one in foil actually looks pretty awesome. I actually really like that foiling. Like, that alone is actually really cool. So it's critical, overwhelm for 3. Then you play this card word, overwhelm, place up to 3 cards to the top of your deck into your drop area. So, I mean, in a Mass Saiyan deck, it's a free critical 15k body. Doesn't really have any Xeno evolve targets, but in the future, I think this card is going to be actually pretty money. So no Janembas, no 17s, and only 1 Yamcha so far. So I definitely want 1 more. Oh, come on. I literally just got you. Come on now. Okay, well, non-foil, that's all right. Let's see, a Janemba, and this is a Yamcha. So okay, 2 more for a playset, 2 more foil for a foil playset. So you can go up there with the other Yamcha. Let's go and do that. And then please just let it be a Janemba. And it's not, it's the Goku. How can I not pull a Janemba out of 7 tournament packs? That is insane. I guess I'm gonna have to buy them, which I don't want to do. But I mean, if anybody has Janembas for trade, let me know, because I got a lot of cool stuff now. Anyway, so that's pretty much as far as the packs go. Anyway, we'll put that up there as far as the winnings, and then let's go ahead and go through all of the number of cards. So the concept of this deck kind of is to get out your 3-drop brew as soon as possible, and then right after have the 5-drop boo swinging for dual attack critical and bouncing different cards out of their from their drop or from their field into their hand if needed, and then go for game with triple attack, triple strike, 75,000 base. So well, 70,000 base technically, but if anything, there's a lot of cool plays that you can do with this deck. And I think when it does come together, and when you don't break, or if you don't draw into the weird things, which I'm going to go over as far as like how to fix those things, or at least how to try. And if you have any suggestions as far as the issues that I bring up, let me know. But let's go ahead and take a look. So we got 4 of the super combos. So let's go ahead and put this out there so that way I can actually show what's in it, because it's probably the best way to do it. So we have 4 of the super combos. What's actually pretty cool about this, and I know it's just a super combo, but every single super combo now has a 0 cost 10k. And what's cool about Shenron is that turn 1 you can get your super combo for draw on active, and these are actually pretty clutch, because Shenron in the early games, at least for me in this deck, actually sucks ass. So he just kind of takes hits and he's just like, okay, well, I guess I die now, because what happens is that a lot of the time I ended up having 1 Dragon Ball in hand, right? And the thing is that having 1 Dragon Ball in hand is cool, but then the other side of it, it's not, because you don't really know what you're going to be drawing into. I'm very much in between, but I think I like having a Dragon Ball being mulligan in my hand, or pre-mulligan. So like, I think if you had 2 Dragon Balls, let's say, that's a 2 draw, but then the rest of your cards, your 4 cards, could be your combo pieces involving, or a 3-drop or whatever, and you don't really want to charge those, or you could be a battering or whatever. So what happens is that you can for these, I'm still on this, don't worry. If you use 2 Dragon Balls and draw 2, if you're going first, you have to charge 1, so you don't know what you're gonna be drawing into. You'll be at 5 cards, 2 draw, and then 5 cards again, because you're literally just cycling through. But what happens is that after you draw those 2, you get to use the leader effect, you get 2 more Dragon Ball cards, and then draw 2 more, and then you need 1 more card to get this active. So again, I'm very much in between of like having Dragon Balls as a mulligan. It is good to wish early, so that way you can start your desires and get draw power and use your ultimate sooner. But I don't know. I think in testing, and at least as well as playing, it is good to have Dragon Balls in hand before anything else. So the next black card is going to be 1 Dragon Radar. So I used to have 2, but it kept... Okay, I wouldn't say it kept bricking, but it definitely didn't have as uses as I wanted it to be. The concept behind it is to make sure that I can keep having Child's Wish in my hand, and as well as to keep having the draw power. So after you draw with the Dragon Balls, 2 of them is going to be a minimum 2. At the very least, you can use Dragon Radar the same turn, or the next turn in order to draw 2, because you can take 2 Dragon Ball cards from your deck into your hand and then draw 2 of them because of Dragon Radar. If you didn't know, again, top 7 for Dragon Ball or Desire, or look through your drop and get 2 Dragon Ball or Desire. So up to 2, you can have 1 Dragon Ball, 1 Desire, whatever. And the next black card is Demigre. So kind of a staple in Shenron decks to me, because you're always going to have an active backup win con if you have 7 Dragon Balls in your drop. And you know, the weird part is that even after 7 Dragon Balls, and I've done this in a game before, is that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3 Child's Wishes if we go over that, 6, 7, 8, and then yeah, 8 cards. There you go. I was like, what am I doing? If you ended up using all of these, which you probably will in a certain fashion, so you're going to be using your super combos, you're going to be using Dragon Radar when you see it, and you're going to be using these when you see it, you can take out 7 Dragon Balls from game, right, and activate the effect. And if you have 5 energy for whatever the fuck reason, and then use the effect on a triple strike or BUU for whatever reason that you didn't end the game before with 5 energy, you can then use the triple attack with BUU, and then right after use Demigre. So if you haven't been using that, if you haven't been doing that with your additional black cards, which you have plenty in Shenron and as well as other Shenron decks, then you might want to relook into that. Especially if you're playing like Bulma or the other 1-drop Bulma, or if you're playing Kami or the other counter answer cards. So there's a lot of different options that you can actually do for that. So the other staple, of course, is Dragon Ball. So let's get these out the way. There you go. And then one star ball. I just love that it's in foil, by the way. I just like I showed it in the opening, but let me see. That's a good looking card, especially in these sleeves. These are the Demigre winter sleeves. Actually looks pretty cool with the little silver lining and everything. I love it. I really like it. Anyway, so we have 6 regular old Dragon Balls and then one star ball. So I explained this in the Shenron Explained video. If you didn't check that out, go check that out. So what I do is that I always turn 1, whether I'm going first or second. Usually first turn, I usually do this. I always want to go first anyway, so that way I'm up on energy. But the thing is that basically you look for 1 Dragon Ball, whether it's in your deck or life. Definitely check your life and your deck. So now the ruling, since you can check both and then take up to 2 from either way, and then do that. The other thing is that when you do check that, again, information is super key. You know what's in your life. When you do take it, you can plan out if you want to try to keep taking it for more Dragon Balls, if you know there's one in there, and then the next turn you can wish a little bit quicker, or you just know what's in your life and what's not, basically. Anyway, so the play for this is that, and I'll kind of go over a little bit more, is that turn 1, I'm always mulliganing for one of these. So one of these or another 3-drop piece or 3 or less piece like Yajirobe in my hand. And then I use 1 Dragon Ball to draw, and then use this Dragon Ball, which if you didn't know is you pay 1 energy, of course. It's still a black card, still a Dragon Ball. And then you ended up using the active main, in which you draw a card and then you discard a card. So what happens is that you discard the BUU, and then the next turn you should be able to find a Child's Wish. If not, you're always going to have active in your drop for a Child's Wish. And that's one of the reasons why I'm considering to put Child's Wish at 4, but at 3 I think it's okay. Like when you start breaking into like more Child's Wish later in the game, it's kind of silly. So I think if you aren't focusing on recursion of your drop, then 3 Child's Wish is fine. But if all goes well, then you're able to just go ahead and make sure they neg1 and start at 5 instead of 6, which could help them if they're Shenron. If they're not, then that's good. And then right after that, you just still draw a card and have a Charles Wish target next turn. So if you use Charles Wish and pay for Charles Wish next turn, then you're good. If they're an aggro deck, you probably don't want to do that for either one. You don't want to pay for one, you do just do the next turn, and you don't want to pay for 2, you just do the next turn. So for 3 energy, you pay for Charles Wish, and then you go and do that. For 2 energy, use this against aggro decks. So I think that's really the sort of mindset that you have to keep as far as that. And then that's actually pretty much it. I don't know what I'm like explaining more. So so for Senzu Bean is the next blue card. Pretty vilo. I think in Shenron decks they're a little bit weird, but I think I had a lot of good use for it. So not only to protect the leader, in which like it's funny because the storm matchup that I had, I think flipping early is really good because you're automatically at 15 instead of 10, like turn 1, turn 2. So it's actually pretty interesting to see that. And then if you have one Senzu Bean, that's still 20 for the duration of turn, and they can't really get around that a lot of the time, or else they could be spending resources, which is what you want to do. You have to take a life when you want to against Storm, not when they want you to. And that's a whole different video. But very clutch. And I think as I go into this, I don't really need to explain Senzu Bean as far as its properties and untapping energy, but it really went good with this card in that it's a dual attack 30k critical with the Kai underneath it with the bean. So what is cool is that you attack once, you bounce something if you want to, and then it goes for 25 critical, you bean it, and then you untap the energy, whether it's yellow energy for battering or blue energy for a 5-drop into evolve, and then now he's 30k for the race in a turn instead of 25. And then when you do evolve, which should be your kill turn, into the 5-drop or the 7-drop, it gains 30k and carries over the Senzu Bean. So that's what I was saying earlier. Instead of 75k base or 70k base, it's 75k base with Senzu Bean. And it's pretty cool because if you have multiple Senzu Beans, then you can just keep doing it. And what happens is also that if you have an open yellow energy, then this is like perfect scenario, and I've done it before though, which is good. You have a yellow, blue, blue. So if you previous turn, previous turn you Child's Wish into the 3-drop. The next turn you have the yellow, blue, blue open. You use 1 blue energy to union into this guy with the Kai, and then you swing. You bean him, open that blue energy, and then if they have a counter and they don't want to take it, then you battering, and then you bean into another yellow to make sure they have a battering. So there's a couple of different things that you can do, and I think that's the versatility of this deck. And as well as what you can do. And I think this guy's I wouldn't say he's underrated, but no one really plays him because he's not a free cost like others, like Cell or whatever. And I think that's kind of huge to pay blue energy, and that's like the same thing for Buhan, where you pay 2 to evolve, but then you don't pay anything for union. So you can keep doing and as well as fail the search, so that way you can have something underneath it and then keep going. That's a proper way to union absorb for these guys. But overall, this guy did some work. Like, people don't really expect it, and I think that when I was testing out the turn and power of BUU, it was cool because you get to take life, especially since you don't really attack, and the first few turns you don't really need to do anything. You just get that power boost right after, but if you don't kill them that turn, you just took a lot of life for no reason. So I think this way is pretty cool because you keep putting pressure on, and you get to bounce different blockers from their field if needed. Because the 3-drop, again, the effect for this one is activate main. You choose a Kai underneath it, the South Supreme Kai, which has critical, and as well as the auto when it attacks, you bounce a 3-drop. So shout out to Eric. Thank you for reminding me that I have to use the activate main and say that I have the activate main, or else I can't use the critical and as well as the 3 bounce. So I thought the 3 bounce was actually more detrimental or more effective as well against Shenron decks, because it's not going to drop, it's going to hand, and you're forcing them to actually pay that energy. So you have to pay, you force them to pay energy instead of using a free desire card or whatever from their hand and that in turn kind of messes up their stuff. It doesn't hit the 4-drop Shenron, which I don't have an answer for. So that's yeah, I don't have an answer for it. So I mean that's another thing. It's just like straight up removal. But this deck is trying to end turn 3 or 4, so it's just like whatever. So yeah, that's the whole gist of it. That guy does work. He does critical, and he has critical. And with this man, which I only run 1, I want to run 2, but the space in this deck is sort of like ass, and there's not really much space to do it. So only one run, and a hard mulligan against like Cell, against like I don't know. I forget what else. Anything that has like straight up removal. If there's no removal or something that you know just doesn't play removal like another Shenron, then you just don't worry about it. Just go ahead and use the Kai instead. And so what's interesting is that if you wish turn 2 and then use Child's Wish into the 3-drop and then pay 1 energy, blue energy, which you're gonna have turn 2, you can just put this man underneath him, give him barrier, and just pass. You just don't really need to do anything else. Unless you're going against Pan, which you shouldn't be doing that. You should be putting this man underneath and then just go ahead and swing. Because otherwise, like, Pan doesn't really have too much removal. she just has Zeno, and you just want to end the game before that. So that's really about it. And the MVP of this deck is the 7-drop. Interestingly enough, this is literally the game ender. There's nothing else. Like, he's just busted. Like, I hate saying that word sometimes, but EX Evolve for 1, if you didn't know. Give this man some zoom in respect. So EX Evolve for 1 blue, place 2 cards from your hand, which does kind of, like, if you want to keep EX Evolving, which I have before a couple times, and you want to keep the bad ring in hand, it's kind of a little difficult. But EX Evolve for 1 blue energy, place 2 cards, and then triple strike auto, in which it gains 30k and switch the card to active mode. So if you swing twice with the critical 25k, and then bean it 30k, and then evolve 30k again, and then you just keep going. Like, that's the thing. And then after you evolve it, you just end up just taking game. Because what you could do is keep a big hand, whether with a Sensu, bad ring, or whatever, and then make sure to bad ring anything. And if it's funny, when they're at 4 life, they're tapped out, which sometimes does happen after swinging with critical so much. They can use a take life sparking negate. They go down to 3, you battering it, they can't use the negate, and the attack still it goes to the combo phase. So now they're in lethal range to 3, and then they have to defend against this. There's no choice. With pretty much 70 or 60 60k base with 70 with the triple attack. And if they somehow get around it, then you can just EX Evolve again if you have another. 3 is enough. I thought 4 was going to be what I needed, but I don't think I really needed that. I saw it enough to not need it. So we got 3 of the 3-drop boos, or 4 of the 3-drop boos. You absorb 1 battle card. You can fail it and then go. This guy also has critical, so if you want to, which I've done. So all of my threats have either triple strike or critical. So it's interesting because you can end the game with this, because I've ended the game with the Kai, who has 15k critical. So if you give something triple attack and 25k, maybe even with the Sensu being with 30k, that's still a threat. Like, that's still something you're able to do. So that's really interesting to really think about too. So nothing really to explain. 1 Abuni. I actually want to put this up to 2, but I don't have room. It's because I had 2 Yajirobe. This is really clutch when you have a 5-drop that you don't want in your hand. I was actually going to run the God Absorber or the other 5-drop Boo, the Fat Boo, but I ended up cutting him for a Boonie instead and just go for the draw. Actually helped out pretty well, and I wish I had more. I meant to explain Yajirobe. Yajirobe is there because of Deadly Defenders. Deadly Defenders actually kind of kill this deck, and as well as Vegito. And if they don't have removal or straight removal, which if they remove it, they can just Child's Wish it back. Yajirobe is a real pain for it. I was actually in a matchup where they had the 18 Yajirobe, or the 18 Deadly Defender, but then they popped this one because they didn't want to swing with the 18. And then I was like, okay, that's fine, because it did its job basically. So it didn't attack. They didn't attack with the 18, and then they ended up killing it. So the next turn. So I was like, okay. And I just took game after that. So after that, that's good. The other thing that again is like are like barrier blockers, which I really don't see that too often anymore. But if they do have it, like Fearless Pan, Crusher Ball is going to be the answer to that. You just have to basically either get around it, which I've had to do as far as like dual attacking and triple attacking, if they have multiple blockers, or end the turn after you Crusher Ball their barrier blocker. So that's huge. And then Bad Ring. So Bad Ring is actually pretty interesting because I've had two in the same hand with two yellow, like Crusher Ball and like an Explosive Spirit. And it just came in clutch because they Bad Ring my Bad Ring, or they had two counters. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Here's another Bad Ring. So like dual attacking critical, which you bait out counters that way. You can make sure they use their counters there, and then right after you can go for triple attack, triple strike, which is the real threat. And then you can save your Bad Ring. Most people don't counter the critical, and most people do counter the critical, and if they don't, then they have to deal with critical anyway. So both threats are pretty much in tandem with each other of like, okay, what L do I want to take? Do I want to waste a counter, or do I want to waste something else? And also, like, Battering is really good against Mafuba, and as well as Flying Nimbus, which kind of shuts down the triple attack, especially if you use the effect, which is another reason why I prefer the 5-drop dual attack instead of the turn and power one. So I think that's a huge thing, because you have more options. You can weigh out your options as you attack. So just there you go. I had two Explosive Spirit Son Goku, so not only a barrier blocker, but also a fantastic wish target, in which he attacks. This deck kind of sucks at attackers. Like, it just doesn't have attackers. Shenron doesn't attack, which is super unfortunate and super inconvenient. And with this guy restanding at the end of the turn, that's awesome. If he gets Mafuba, then like, okay, well, you just wasted Mafuba because like my BUU's coming out next turn. But barrier blocker does save your ass against a lot of different threats, and then even if he gets Crusher Balled, he just restands, which is just so funny. And of course, since he is a Child's Wish target, you can barrier block or block something that would kill you, or it would be pretty hard to you, and then Charles Wish it back and then KO whatever try to kill him. So it's just so funny. Like, Charles Wish, I've been making the joke that it's the Nishigesh, and it pretty much is with this card. Super clutch. Like, that's such a good card. Such a good card. Definitely recommend it in any deck that is running yellow and Shenron. So these are the last cards. We only played best of one. Like I said, for Top Cut, we just didn't want to play because maybe I didn't mention it, but it was Top Cut. It was 5 rounds of Swiss, 4-1. Plus second, there's no Top Cut or Final Cut for the paper. We just kind of like, whatever, just give it to whoever. We rolled for it, okay. Didn't want to deal with that, but I didn't want to stay for that, so I would have conceded anyway. So there's no sideboard. Anyway, 3 Fighting Nimbus, super good against different decks like Storm, which I actually didn't use. I used Senzu Bean more than this. But also good against other Shenron leader decks. If you have a 2 yellow open and the Bad Ring in this one, I mean, that's still pretty good. It's just that you have 4 yellow cards in your hand for that. So yeah, either way, negates are always good. If I had to change it, I don't think I would have changed this. Maybe up to 1, I don't know, or up to 4. I mean, I wouldn't add Whist negates. It's just sort of like, okay, with the dual colored, I don't know. I would need some comments on this one, but this is self-explanatory. Source of Power Goku for Self-Awaken, which came in handy one time. So if you see your pieces and you don't see your pieces in your deck, you know there's like 2 or 3 drops in your life, then you probably should go the Source of Power, because that's the only way to get them back. There's no Self-Awakening in this deck, which doesn't really need it. Your life is sort of like extra cards in this. And it is a Charles Wish target, so if you turn 1 1-star ball into that's not a bad Charles Wish target. So it all really depends. Like, it all really depends on what your matchup is and everything. So just a quick to quickly go through the matchups, I played one sorbet, shout out to Nando, and his 7-drop Frieza. That was an interesting one. We were all getting used to the Shenron decks. I wasn't used to sorbet because I didn't play against him too much, but the rival and the Emperor is a busted ass Desire card, and thankfully I didn't attack too much, and when I did, it was critical. So that was the thing. Like he wasn't getting too much cards in hand, or too many cards in hand. So after getting critical hit so many times and then evolve on top of the 5-drop, and I had a battering in hand ready, it was game done. So that was actually a crazy game because I think he demigered me. So I don't remember how I got around that one. It's all a blur. This is 2 days ago. So as of this recording, this was 2 days ago, or as of this is posted, this was 2 days ago. So it's just kind of Next round was actually Rudigon swap. Goddamn Alex. That was an interesting one. I didn't know if I was gonna get around that. I had 2 sensu beans on board, and you know, one sensu bean, and then I was comboing out the ones that I wanted to. And again, I'm gonna go through it in a different video, but as the turn goes further into their turn, that's when you can start taking life and start understanding like what is your next play and how you're gonna defend the next storm / swap attacks if you can. And again, the wish early on into 15 early, like turn 1 turn 2, is super good against storm in itself, because that's just like a built-in bean. So I think that's awesome. I survived because he kept bricking a little bit, and then he just could not stop the turn 3 BUU triple attack triple strike 75k. So that was the thing. That was it. That's how I beat that guy, or beat that deck. Next one was Announcer, which is my only loss. Shout out to Eric. I've been playing that deck forever, and I don't know how I lost that one. I mean, I do know. I didn't draw what I needed to draw. I did have the BUU out for the 5-drop, but then I didn't have the resources to defend against Goku Oob and a few different other things. We got to like 4 or 5 energy. We weren't really doing too much. He had like a huge hand. I had a pretty big hand, but it was just, I don't know. I don't really remember what I did wrong there. Maybe it was just the fact that I didn't have too many plays. Also, I had the 7-drop BUU, but he had like 14 negates, which kind of hurts this deck a little bit too. So yeah, that's all I can really say about that one. I played another sorbet. Well, I played 17 and 18 first, which was interesting. That was the one I was saying, Yajirobe and the Deadly Defender 18. I got around that afterwards. He didn't cell chain me, which is interesting. He probably just didn't have anything, but he like turn 1 or turn 2 dropped 2 different Gohans, which I was just like, wow, just kill me now. And I took 2 crits, and he awakened. He draws basically 5 cards after leader swing, and I was just like, okay, this is how my life is now. Okay, cool. And then the next turn he dropped the 18. I put the Yajirobe out and I passed, had some open energy, and then just made him make a decision in which I was just like, you know what, I'm at 4 life, I'm cool, Yajirobe's out. And then he didn't really do anything. He passed because he didn't want to swing with 18. And then the next turn I got the BUU out, 7-drop, and also the critical beforehand kind of killed him. That was all good. And the last one, Sorbet, that was actually an interesting matchup because he turn 2 wished me, or turn 2 wished himself, and I was just like, dude, he can do that. It was just the personal ambitions and the Sorbet Seeker, and as well as the attacks. It was just annoying. And then he just kept drawing Jam Wells, and I was just like, stop. You're not supposed to do that. Sorbet doesn't do that. But it was just good luck. And then he played Clanachair for a 2-drop revival, and then played the 3-drop in which forces something in rest mode, which is a broken ass combo, by the way. So instead, he saw my secret, which was my Demigra. He played him instead of my 7-drop, which I had a 5-drop on board. So he misplayed there. The next turn, I just went all in on the 7-drop, comboed everything with triple strike, triple attack, and then just ended the game. That was really close. That was a huge misplay on him, which I don't discredit him. It's just a different deck. In the best of 3, he would have got me, I think, or I had to play it differently. So that was interesting. That was all. That was a whole huge breakdown. A lot of stuff going on. Hopefully, you are here into the end, and hopefully you enjoy this deck profile. Let me know what changes you would make. The only changes I would make really is Crisis Crusher, and the changes that I made beforehand. I don't know where I would put it. I don't know where I would do anything differently or change this differently for his ratios for that to put in Crash's Crusher, but that's a huge card in order to stop the onslaught, or at the very least a sideboard card. And the best of one, you probably need 2 or 3. And then a Booney, probably one more, and then probably one more Barrier BUU. But again, might be sideboard cards, because otherwise you're just kind of trying to end turn 3 or 4, like I was saying. Let me know what you think of the cards as far as the turn impacts. No Janemba, no 17. Kill Me Softly. Let me know what you think about the deck profile. Let me know how your release went. If you went, like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord. It's always in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Later.